Why
We
is
did.
there a circle? Do you see a halo on my head, or is that only on my computer screen?
I see it. You are now a saint.
How does that happen? Oh.
I think
Okay,
I think we just found our intro.
of course we did.
Well, hello once again, wonderful humans. My name is Anthony,
And my name is Eric.
and you are watching the Board Game Dads back with another board game holiday spotlight. Eric, we are still riding the sugar high that is Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I just killed a Hershey bar. I sent my 2-year-old daughter out to collect the candy so I could eat it all.
Oh, yeah. Halloween. We're still on the sugar high from Halloween. And because of that, it feels like time is going by very, very quickly, which is relevant to our topic today. It's daylight savings time, people. Fall back.
It's the good one.
It's the good one,
Yeah.
depending on who you ask. Yeah.
Well, you get an extra hour of sleep, or you get regular sleep and you get an extra hour of TV, or in our case, board games.
Tis true. And if
So
you
what?
have no children, then you can have both.
And and if you have children, then just to let you know, it doesn't matter what time you put them to bed. They're going to wake up an hour earlier, possibly 2 hours earlier. And yeah, they could go to bed 8 o'clock every night or 9 o'clock every night, wake up at 8 o'clock, whatever. They're going to wake up earlier regardless.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Although I did see several, guides on how to slowly train your children to get used to the change in time, like,
Hmm.
bedtime 15-minute difference this day and then move it up 20, 25.
See, I figured that the reason that Fall Behind is so close to Halloween is because you can give your kids a bunch of extra candy bars that one day and keep them awake an extra hour or two and then put them to bed at like 10 o'clock. And they're not falling asleep watching TV or anything. They're bouncing off the walls and everything. And then maybe, just maybe, they'll sleep until like noon.
That's the dream. That's the
Yeah.
dream. So, because of daylight savings, we decided to talk about games that have a real time element to them. Pretty specific here, but an untapped resource, an untapped theme for us here at Board Game Dad. So, we were excited to get this one to the table.
So, real quick, you know how I love to dress thematically for our holiday videos? I, I don't have a daylight savings shirt. So, the closest thing I could come up with was this shirt, The Late Show. And I feel like it hits on multiple levels, right? Because it says late. So, it's, time relevant. Also, it's a 1 hour show. We get 1 hour of extra time. The Late Show with David Letterman is from like 20 years ago. And not only that, and this is more of, I guess, just an inside thing, but Anthony, remember that time that we went to see David Letterman at the Late Show and I got this shirt?
I do. We actually went, didn't we go like 3 times total
I think we
over
went twice.
two? Okay.
Yeah, I think you got tickets once and then I got tickets once.
Yeah.
But I don't remember who was there. I remember one time Kevin Spacey dropped in. This was before he was canceled. He dropped in as like a surprise guest, which was
Yep.
pretty cool because,
Yep.
Kevin Spacey. Now it's like, ugh, Kevin Spacey. It's a different time.
Different time.
Anyway, circling back.
Bring it back.
So we're talking about real time games, and what better way to spend one extra hour than by playing a bunch of games that are timed so you know
That's right.
exactly how many you can fit in.
Before we get to picks, do you have one or several honorable mentions?
I've always got several.
No,
I,
that's not true.
That you're right. That's not true.
That's not true.
I often have several, which is probably why you said that. So I'm just going to go with one this time. And my one is going to be Magic Maze, where
Yeah.
you're taking out tiles and you're kind of running around trying to get everybody is using the same people on the board. It's not like I have a character and you have a character. And I'm allowed to move them right, up, and I can use the elevators. You can use them left, back or down or whatever, and and something else, and that's it. But you can't talk, so you have
Right.
to sit there and you have to know where this guy's supposed to go, and you have to move him over there. And then if somebody else, like I can't move him, to the left anymore, and somebody else is, and I'm just like, like pointing at him and stuff.
Yeah, you bang that marker on the
Yeah,
table in front of their face.
and so yeah, so it's fun. It's a cool one, and we'll talk about it one day soon.
Yeah, I enjoy that game as well. For me, my HM is I went back and forth on which one to do for this, and I decided to go with a game that I have not played. Okay, so this is kind of like a wish list sort of game. And that's called Kitchen Rush. So
Mm,
real time kitchen simulation game where you're
yeah,
trying to get orders out and everybody's in charge of like a different station or whatever. Really love the theme on this. I really want to try this game. I think it's going to be chaotic in the best way possible. So hoping someday I can get that one played.
that it's funny that you mentioned this one because I wasn't even thinking of this, but this week or last week on Favorite Game Friday, which I haven't been doing just because I've been pretty busy with a bunch of other stuff. Um, but they did games that you're ashamed that you haven't played. And I love the theme of
Ooh.
Kitchen Rush. I love cooperative games, and I'm ashamed that I haven't gotten that one to the table. And I thought about it. I was like, oh, maybe I'll do this one, and I just never got the chance. Which has been pretty much the same story since my son was born back in June. And for some reason, I just haven't had any time.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about those time bandits they call children.
Yeah,
Thematic as well.
but yeah,
Um,
I have heard that that one is pretty difficult.
oh, I'm sure it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and isn't there hasn't there been like another one or two games that is like something Rush?
Oh, I don't know actually.
Hmm.
Maybe
Well,
I
let
could
us know in
envision
the
there
comments.
I could envision there being like a dungeon rush. Just
Me
because.
too.
All right, so
Farm Rush.
a farm rush or a trade in the Mediterranean rush.
Dudes on a map rush.
All right, so enough fantasy picks here. Let's get to some real picks. I'm starting off, right? My first? I'm first.
I believe so.
All right, so my first pick is a game that I've actually talked about on a holiday spotlight before, although it was not with Eric. It was when I had guest Jen, the board game librarian.
Mm.
Back in the summer, we did a video for National Roller Coaster Day,
I t-
and I
that was a good video. I gotta say,
thank
I,
you.
I did like that video. You guys did well together.
Yeah,
I don't know if
yeah,
she watches or not, but she did really good. I
she
watched that
might.
one and I was like, oh man, this is good. I like this.
Yeah, she was excited to do a random theme like that.
Nice.
That was not like, oh, let's talk about games in the library, which she probably talks about all the time, which is fine. I mean, it's amazing that she does that, but I think she appreciated the change of pace. But anyway, I talked a lot about the mechanics of this game, which, by the way, I should mention is called Steam Park. All right,
Mm.
so that's my first pick. I'm not going to belabor too much about the rules here, but this is a game that has a real-time element as one mechanism of the game. Okay, this is not the focus of the entire game, but it is part of the game. So in this game, you're going to be designing a theme park for robots, and you're going to be building these different rides in your park, along with some other attractions and some stands and concessions and things like that, trying to attract the most visitors. But the robots are very messy when they come to your park, so they make a lot of dirt. Right. So one of the challenges in this game is keeping ahead of the dirt pile because at the end of the game you're going to lose a boatload of points if you have too much dirt. So the real time comes in these dice, which I think for a lot of our picks, there's going to be dice involved in these types of games. Just
Oh
kind of
yeah.
lends itself to the real time thing, right? So the real time part for this, you're going to be rolling those dice. Everybody's rolling at the same time, and as you save dice, you're going to put them on your pig mechanical pig marker there to show that they've been stored, basically. And whenever you are satisfied with what you have, you stop and you grab the basically first person done token, which is going to give you a little bit of a benefit. All the other players continue rolling until everyone, except the last person, has settled on the dice that they're going to keep. And then that last person gets the last bonus. And I say bonus in quotes because it's kind of a crappy thing. I think you get like extra dirt or something like that. So
Hmm.
you don't want to be last. Anyway, that's where the real time kind of stops, but it happens in every round of this game. So you are going to be doing it a lot. Basically, the dice have different phases on them that let you do different stuff. Some of them are going to let you clean up some of that dirt from your park. Others are going to let you put new robot visitors into the bag because you are drawing them out of the bag. And then others are going to actually help you to build the roller coasters, the rides, and the concession stands and things like that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. This is a really fun game. It does have an expansion that I have not tried yet, but I like this one a lot. I love the components on this. The 3D rides look really cool, and you get to place your little robot meeples on top of each ride as they're going into your park. And yeah, it's pretty thematic. There's a lot of rules and regulations about how you build the rides on your grid, which is pretty thematic in my opinion. Like specifically, you can't build a ride adjacent to another ride unless it's the same type, right? Because thematically, you would have rides separated in a park so people can walk through them. Same thing with the stands; they got to be kind of separated and things like that. So a lot going on here, a fun one, and the real time element is a pretty big part because it
Now,
determines what you're going to do.
I gotta ask before you change the picture,
Yeah.
um,
Okay.
what is that thing on the bottom? Is that part of the game?
No, I believe that, and so I lifted this from Board Game Geek. Credit there.
Oh, okay,
And
sorry.
so I think that might be someone's MP3 player of some kind
You
from
know, it
whatever
kinda looks
year.
like that, but yeah, I couldn't really tell.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I didn't remember that in the game.
no, no, it's definitely not part of the game. I did not have enough time to take some new pictures of this game. Therefore, we took some shortcuts.
Yeah, and, I did not know that you did that, so I went and asked a stupid question.
It's fine.
Alright, so my first game that I wanna talk about, this is one of my favorite games of all time. It's called Escape: The Curse of the Temple, and it is, designed by Christian Amundsen Ostby, which I hope I didn't butcher that. But it's 1 to 5 players. If you have the expansion, now you can see in this picture, I have the big box, so I don't know what comes with the regular or what expansions are out. What I have all the stuff that came with the big box, and that's it.
Hmm.
So I actually have 6 players, so at least one expansion includes a sixth player,
Okay.
and the game takes 10 minutes to play, and about I would say maybe 5 to 10 minutes of setup. So it's a pretty quick game, and if you play it 2 or 3 times in a row, which is often the case,
Hmm.
then it takes I don't know 30, 40 minutes to play 3 games, which is pretty awesome.
Right.
Um, and this plays ages 8 and up. So this is a real time cooperative dice rolling with a soundtrack
Yeah.
exploration game that has modular board. So there's a lot of like little kind of mechanisms all kind of included in this game. And the way it works is that you're going to have 5 dice and they're all going to be like these white dice that have I think 5 different symbols, maybe 4 different symbols on them. There's the no, it's 5 different symbols. And you're going to be rolling them frantically while this soundtrack plays in the background. And the soundtrack is it's a 10-minute soundtrack. It starts off and then it goes, it's like a weird kind of thing. Escape. And then you start rolling the dice frantically because each time you want to move to a new room or find a new room, you have to have certain symbols. Certain symbols are you can't re-roll them unless you have this other certain symbol. And you want to get around this board and you want to open up all these rooms so that you find the exit and get rid of a bunch of gems while you're doing it. And it's really fun. And so also about a couple of minutes in, there's like this noise or something that means you got to get back to the center. Or once this next noise, you got like a minute to get back to the center. Or
Hmm.
once this other thing, like the door is shut and you lose a die, and now you're trying to play the game with only 4 dice. And so that's pretty cool. And like I said, there's a bunch of expansions. They add like treasure chests and things. This is this in this picture here is one of the expansions that had a mummy and a ghost, so obviously I had to play this around Halloween.
Ah.
So it's kind of annoying, and I tried to play this solo, and I added like two expansions in like a moron, and I just got butchered. Yeah, I was like, oh, I want to play with the ghost expansion. Oh, I haven't played with this one, so I put them both in, and yeah, it was not a good time. But like I said, this game is great. You can't really play this on a wooden table. You really kind of need some sort of a mat down so that the dice don't just keep rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling.
Right.
And now I have come across that in another game. Um, and I didn't mention this for an honorable mention, but I'm just going to bring it up now. A game, Bottom of the Ninth. It's got a really tiny element of real time. Is when you get a hit, both you and the batter and the pitcher have to start rolling this one die quickly, quickly, quickly. And if you whoever gets a six first, it gets to say safe or out. And
Hmm.
if you're rolling a die and it's just bouncing and bouncing and bouncing, and the other person's got a dice tray and they just get like three or four rolls while you're waiting for one, you're done.
Yeah, yeah. No bouncy dice in these real
Yeah.
time games, man. It's not gonna help you out.
But Escape, Curse to the Temple, awesome game. The CD is annoying because I don't have a CD player. I couldn't find it on like Spotify. I don't think there's an app. I have it on my iPod, so I just have to like play it from the iPod to like a speaker. I did find something on Spotify. Somebody else made a playlist, but I couldn't tell like the same noise that is supposed to signify, hey, you got to get back to it was just a little difficult, especially playing solo.
Hmm.
But yeah, amazing game.
Is the soundtrack only one track?
Yeah, it's like 10 minutes, maybe like 10 minutes and some change because there's like kind of a beginning and then you start and then you're doing everything. So I'm not sure the exact time, but it's pretty much 10 minutes.
It's on a CD.
It's on a CD, and it's also like when we first got this game, I burned the CD onto my iPod. So I have it on my iPod,
Mm.
and I might as well just put it on my phone at some point. So I don't have to get the iPod. I can just boop, hit it on the phone and start rolling dice.
Well, speaking of using the phone and rolling dice, my next pick is exactly that. This game has this timer app that you can download. You don't have to by any means. You can just use a regular old timer, but it's more thematic to use the one that they suggest. And that's for this game called Fuse. So, a real time dice rolling game where you collectively, is cooperative, you are trying to disarm a bomb, and you do that by rolling these dice, placing them on some of the cards that are in front of you, trying to complete the objectives on these cards. So, to set up the game, you're going to count out X amount of cards depending on the difficulty level that you would like to do. I forget what the first one is, but there's like a training and then like a, yeah, I guess intermediate. And there's probably like three or four. Regardless, the game comes with a lot of cards, so you're not going to see too much repetitiveness, which I like. So you're going to set out about five of these, I think, face up in front of the group, and then every player is going to get two of them for themselves that they're starting to work on right away. It's all public knowledge. These cards can vary in difficulty from level 1 through 6. So the six level ones are much more complicated, and the ones that are less complicated. They all have a little bit of a different setup, but here are some examples of what you might be doing. So that card in the top left there is a tower. So when you see that silver kind of base and then all those white squares afterwards, that's how tall you're going to be stacking on this card. All right, so this particular one requires 5 dice, but they can be any color and any number. That's why it's a level 1. It's pretty easy. And then you can see going to a couple other ones here that get a little more complicated. That bottom left is a level 6. That's a pyramid, so you've got to build that base according to the diagram there as black, red, black. Next to on top, blue, green, and then yellow at the very top. Other ones include, getting a sum of a certain number with 2 dice, stacking them in ascending or descending order, and then you have some that are options on what colors you might want to use. But basically, you're going to roll all the dice, and then everyone is taking them. So you're frantically talking like, all right, I can use a green or a two or a 3 blue, and everyone's like, oh, I can do that, and then there's going to be a point where someone cannot take one of the dice, and then you get a penalty. which usually involves losing some of the dice that you've already placed on your card. Now, I mentioned this does have the timer. The timer is pretty thematic. It is a 10-minute game, similar to Escape. So that being said, it does get played oftentimes, you know, repeatedly in one sitting,
Right.
especially if you're not successful on the first time, right? You're like, oh, we gotta win, we gotta get it, we gotta get it. But the timer on the app is crazy because in addition to obviously counting down, and it has that, that nice graphic design of like a time bomb, basically digital, countdown clock.
Yeah.
But it also has, a good soundtrack as well, where there's like a female voice that says things like, "You better hurry up," or "Don't cut that wire," and you're like, "Shut up!" You're like yelling to this non-existent person to stop bothering you. But man, is this game is intense. I love this game. So
This
much fun.
game is tough.
Yeah. Oh no,
I
it's
love
definitely
like
not easy.
I love cooperative games, but we probably played it the first few times we played it were probably on the easiest level, and
Yeah.
it was still tough.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's we still have it. We don't play it that often, but it's fun. It'll make it out off the table every once in a while, especially with multiple people. It's not the kind of game that we really want to play with just two. Not that it's a bad two-player game. It's just
Hmm.
if it's just two of us, we don't need a filler game. When you got three or four people and you're playing a game, all right, we'll play a big game, and then we'll play this quick filler game, and then we'll play something else, or I don't know, order some food.
But yeah, it's easy to teach. The concept is easy to teach, right?
Yeah,
It's not easy to win, but I don't really hesitate pulling this game out to anyone. I'm not like, oh, I don't think we should play Fuse. Like anybody can learn how to play this game,
yeah,
and it's cooperative. So you either all win or you all lose. That's it.
yeah. All
That's
right.
Fuse.
So my final game is called 5 Minute Marvel, and this game is designed by Connor Reed, and it's 2 to 5 players, and it plays in 5 minutes, and it's for ages 8 and up. Now on BGG they actually say 6 and up, so we'll just say 7 and up and split the difference. So this is a real-time cooperative card game, and basically you're going to choose a hero to beat. Each hero has a deck of 10 cards that have their special powers. These are the heroes right here, and what's really cool is that there are 5 males and 5 females.
Mhm.
So unless you count Rocket and Groot as 2 males, but I don't know what Groot is, who cares? But there's there's 5 characters, one of them is Rocket and Groot. Okay. But you pick one, and they'll have, like I said, a deck of 10 cards, and then there's going to be like a community deck where everybody's going to be drawing most of their cards. And so the way the game plays is you're going to choose a villain, and then you're based on his starting, like you can see up top here, Green Goblin, and then it'll say how many cards to put in the deck. There's like door cards and crisis cards, and so you'll take however many it says plus one per player, and you'll shuffle them together, and then you're going to look at them, and you can see on the bottom row those are the door cards.
Mhm.
These are going to be most of the cards that you're going to see as you're trying to get through this deck. So you can see the first one is Bullseye, and to defeat him, you need to have a green shield logo, which is what that little green logo is, and then a yellow electricity logo. So if you have those 2 cards, boom, boom, you play them out. Take that villain card, throw it off to the side, and go after the next guy.
Right.
And so you're just doing this really quickly. Each character is going to have a special like player power or that you can use during a game. And then when you're drawing cards, because you're always going to have a hand of I think 5. So once you play a card or two, you immediately draw back up. You can draw from your own special power card deck,
Hmm.
which, like I said, is 10 cards in it. But if you have like 5 of those cards in your hand and they all kind of do something because you just kept on drawing them and they all do something a little bit different, but it's useless right now, you're no help and you might lose this game because you now
Hmm.
can't like play any cards. You really got to keep a good number of these regular symbols in the game while you're also trying to utilize your special power and play through these. Melissa and I played this maybe a couple weeks ago, and we lost. We played like 2 or 3 games, so we won, but we lost like the first 2 because we weren't thinking. We chose characters that their special power doesn't really help when you're in a situation where nobody has a card to use. There
Okay.
are special powers that are like, oh, discard 3 cards and everybody draws 2. So if all of a sudden we're like, I need a fist, I don't have any, you don't have any. All right, well, I can do this, and I can just have everybody keep drawing 2 cards till somebody gets a fist. Sure, we're wasting time, but at least we're getting this done. We're getting it taken care of.
Right.
Whereas other times you just stopped and there's nothing you can do anymore.
Does this
Uh,
game have a like a fancy app, or you just use a timer?
I just use a timer. It might have a fancy app. I wouldn't be surprised. Um, but yeah, so there's 6 villains, and each one of those cardboard cutouts of I don't know if they're cutouts, a cardboard, whatever is
Yeah, the board.
yeah, of the character has another villain on the back, and they're level 1 through 6. So
Okay.
generally, when you play, you're going to start with I think Green Goblin's level 1. You play through him for 5 minutes, and then you're done. But you can keep going. You flip them over to the other side. It's a level 2 somebody, and then you go to level 3 after, and you just go all the way up. I think Thanos is the level 6 villain.
Makes sense.
And then you played through the whole game with all the villains, and you beat them all, hopefully. Or if
Hopefully.
you didn't, you just choose another character and play it again.
All
Have
right.
you played any of the 5 minutes?
I have played this one only.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Uh,
haven't played the other ones, but I know there's a few of them. All right, so this is the game that we have chosen for our facts.
just facts.
Just facts, man. So, for all right, is this game fun for the family? Yes, I like this game. It's going to be pretty fun for kids too because they get to play cooperatively and they got all these cool characters that they can choose from. And yeah, so it's fun. Does it appeal to all ages?
Oh, hold on. What's the score for the fun?
Oh, I'm sorry. 2. Gave
Okay.
that 2 out of 2. The appeal for the age range. I love comic books. And this art's a little kiddie, but I like it. I'm not gonna complain about it. Not everybody likes comic books as much as me.
Hmm.
So I gave this a 1.5.
I think that's fair.
Okay. The components, the cards are a little flimsy. They could be a little bit better, but you are using them quickly and kind of like use it. So I don't know if you really want to spend the extra money to get really decent cards if you're just going to be going through them that quickly and stuff like that. So I guess you got to take the good with the bad on that. But I give that a 1.5 as well.
Do you think this game would be better or worse with sleeved cards?
I don't like sleeve cards.
Okay, so worse.
I only use sleeve cards when something happened to at least one of the cards where I now know what it is when it's coming up, then I got to sleeve all the cards.
Okay.
Or sometimes they'll put out a game and then they'll put out an expansion and the cards are a different shape. And then you got to sleeve the cards because somebody made a big mistake. Anyway, so teachability. This game is super simple to teach.
Hmm. Hmm.
You're really just looking at the symbols you have in your hand and playing them out, trying to get this minion or whoever defeated, and that's it. And then you have your special power cards that you really kind of want to look through at first, just so kind of the types of cards that this character has,
Hmm.
so that you don't just keep on picking these cards and you're like, oh, I can't do anything with this. And another thing that does happen, I forgot to mention this, by the end of the game, sometimes if you have like 2 or 3 of your special cards in your hand, most of the time you can't use these. You can't use them on the main villain. You can only use them on the door cards and stuff like that.
Right, 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 right.
All right. So teachability, I gave it a 2.
Yeah, it sounds like you can get this game started pretty quickly.
Yeah. And then the skill set, there's really not a lot going on in terms of skill set in this. It's you're looking at the symbol that you need. You're looking at your hand. If it's the same, you put the card out.
Right.
And
Oh, it's can you think fast? Can you think fast?
right, it is. It's real time.
Right. Yeah.
That's the skill set. But
Yep.
otherwise, it's literally just like, oh, I need that symbol. Oh, I don't have it, or I have it. Here it is. So there's not a lot of skill involved in this game.
Yeah, you're not
Uh,
going to take away a lot of knowledge from playing this. I mean, it's going to be fun for
right.
sure. But
But for skill set, I gave this 0.5.
oh, okay.
So altogether, we got 7.5 for 5 Minute Marvel. And so again, I didn't want to make this as part of our ratings for it, but for the appeal, which got a 1.5. If you don't like Marvel, they got 5 minute mystery, they got 5 minute dungeon. So one of those might be right down your alley, and you might like that a lot more.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think there's a good amount of theme here for to satisfy a lot of different types of players for sure. And
Yeah,
again, it's only 5 minutes, right? So
filler games.
even if you're like lukewarm on this, it's going to be over so quickly. Get onto your other game that you really want to play, and it's not a big deal.
And to be honest, you got a whole hour for free. So who cares if you don't enjoy the game? It took you 5 minutes, and it's not a big setup. It's maybe like a minute or two setup. You just, oh, I'm going to use this villain. I'm going to be this character. You ready?
Yeah,
You just
yeah.
start, or you got to build the villain deck, which maybe takes 45 seconds.
Start the timer, and you got it.
Yep.
All right, folks. Well, we tried to give you an expedited, quick episode here. We'll see what the final countdown is after the editing, but I think we did pretty good.
I think we did too,
Yeah, yeah.
but
So
who
stay
knows?
tuned. Next week we'll have a new episode. I believe maybe a dadcast is coming up, right?
I don't remember.
Yeah, we'll have to check
Let me
the
look.
old
I
schedule.
don't know.
But thanks for spending some of your extra bonus time with us today. We really appreciate it. And of course, as always, we'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Let us know your favorite real time game and your feelings overall on daylight savings. I know there are quite a few people in camp that would like to abolish this completely. In fact, there's been, I think, several attempts in the government to draw up bills to end daylight savings time. Um, Not for me to decide. So
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. I like the extra hour. I like, I mean, the extra hour of sunlight during the summer. I think that's cool. But whatever. I'm not really looking at it from the big picture. I'm just
and we
being
may
very
change our tune in a few years when our kids are a little bit older too. Who knows?
right. Um, I did want to point out one more thing. Anybody that has played, because I've had this game on my radar for a while. If you've played Kitchen Rush, let me know about it because I can't pull the trigger. I think it's like 50, $60, and I just can't pull the trigger because I keep hearing that it's really difficult, and I don't want to spend $60 on a game I can't win, and then it just sits on the shelf, and then I get
I
mad
think
when someone comes out about it.
there's a lot of like heavy duty components in that game, right? Like plastic stuff. I think like
Yeah, I think there's like little
kitchen type
timers,
pieces.
and
Yeah,
yeah, you're moving around. You got all the different types of food and timers that you're using as pieces, and then you got to put it
right.
there and wait. But I've been very interested in this one, and I'd love to hear what you have to say about it. Not you,
Awesome.
but everybody else.
Let us know, everybody else. Thanks for spending some time with us, and we will see you on the next one.
Happy daylight savings.